From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, let's talk offensive line. Does FSU have a starting five, and why has it been a struggle up front for so long? Preseason predictions. Are there any indicators, or is it really just a crapshoot for everybody involved? And the FSU defense is helping generate discussion sparked by Cummins. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com works faster and longer. It's energy with benefits. Clinically tested, clinically proven to improve your energy, to improve your mood, to improve your focus, to improve your pump in the gym, and many other different things we all want to improve in our lives. Give it a shot. Not even 2 fluid ounces in one bottle provides 260 milligrams of all-natural caffeine. We'll be handing this stuff out like candy at the Cameron Charity Golf Tournament later this morning. Hope we see you guys out there. If not, hope we see you afterwards at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. And if we don't see you there, hopefully we'll see you on the internet over at warchant.com. It's the ultimate Seminole sports source. Won't you subscribe? Maybe leave us a rating and review on the Apple Podcast app, Spotify as well. That would be cool. YouTube, we all love you folks in the comment section. Lots of people from the Jimmy Carter Boulevard area of our great nation, Corey Clark, leaving comments on the show yesterday, said that it's part of their morning routine, and they're also Warchant members only YouTube variety folks. So we appreciate
What's part of their routine?
Listening to the podcast.
Well, from Jimmy Carter Boulevard?
Yeah, let me see who it was. Somebody's like,
all right.
was like, stand up. I was like, stand up. I'm like, nice.
JCB.
Lauren Hester. Hey,
Okay.
from Jimmy Carter Boulevard. I love Wake Up Warchant. Makes my mornings.
All right, nice. Yeah, Jimmy Carter's probably a little different now than it was when I was back there as a youngin', but I still drive by there every day. I took Brady by, actually. Well, this was about 10 years ago now, not 8 years ago. I took him by the old haunts where his dad grew up. He wouldn't get out of the car when we pulled into the driveway of my old house. Well, I made him get out, but he did not want to. He didn't want to get out of that car when we pulled up to Meadow Creek, my famous high school. I made him do it. I wanted him to soak up. Took him to my high school girlfriend's house.
Wow.
I legitimately did that, by the way. That was funny.
That was interesting.
It's like, hey, there were some good times right in that room right there. But, yeah, so, I did a whole Corey Clark, go back and play the hits. Nice. And show my – you want to give your kids a taste of how you grew up. And maybe it was a little too over the top with showing him my high school girlfriend's house. But I thought he wanted to know how his old man lived.
That's right. How's his old man's current house doing? Getting nibbles, bites on the market? How
it's not on the market yet. We got about 2 weeks before we do that. We're getting it in tip-top shape for it, but it's been cleaned out. No furniture there anymore, no mattresses, no trash, no old protein bar wrappers. It's getting ready to be sold, buddy. And then I'm not sure what I'm going to do next year when he's a senior, but I'll be up there probably not as much, but, buddy, it has been a long decade of back and forth. And now that I can see the end of the tunnel, it's one thing the travel is bad enough, but I actually kind of got used to that. It's 3 podcasts, true crime podcasts. I'm there. Yeah. The paying the bills on both houses. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot. People don't, the taxes on both houses.
Poor Corey and his 2 houses.
Well, Corey had a lot more money 10 years ago. Hopefully I can make some of it back with this house sale.
Well, you just got to get tuned back into these bets and hope that hedging against Florida State will be more financially beneficial, or no? We want Florida State to win because you bet against them just to hedge.
Yeah. I'll lose some money there, but I'm also betting against the Braves every chance I get.
Okay,
so that goes pretty well.
All right. Well, the transfer portal is open. Check out warchant.com with some of the initial targets that we're hearing about. Quint67 starts us off with the FSU baseball being back. What an amazing weekend. And then run ruling the team midweek, what it can do for the psyche of the team. Glad that so many are feeling better about the season. Looks like the portal is heating up for football, and we are doing some roster subtraction, hopefully for the better. Questions. Since the portal and one-time transfer will begin, which coach or program has been most successful with upgrading their roster through the portal? And which year do you think Norvell and Florida State's most successful offseason was recruiting within the portal?
Well, I'd say that's. Wow.
You think it's easy. You think it's easy at first, but then it's like, well, Keon Coleman and Braden Fisk versus Trey Benson and Johnny Wilson and
Jared Verse. It's still that one.
That's right.
Yeah, it's still that one. Who else was I mean, there were other. Tatum Bethune, I think, was
23.
the Jared Verse year too.
Was he?
I mean,
because we didn't think we had more than 1 year, but got 2 years.
Yeah,
yeah.
But the other one had Jaheim Bell too. You had Fisk, Bell, Byers. Obviously Coleman. I mean, I still think 22. I definitely think it was the more impactful one because you don't get Keon Coleman if you don't have. I don't think unless you have the 2022 season that you had. You had Micah Pittman, who ended up not being great, but was a big part of that team and just that team's personality. So I'd go with 2022. And did he ask like overall, like which program?
Well, real quick, 23 also had Fentrell.
Yeah.
And Daryl Jackson.
Well, he didn't count.
Well, but he
didn't count for that season. I guess he did count, but he didn't count for that season.
He said who's the most, which coach, which program. I mean, Florida State's in the mix. I don't know who. I mean, Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss are up there as well. Trying to think who else really has done I mean, the top echelon programs.
Well, the answer is probably Colorado. I don't know how it could not be Colorado. They were a laughingstock. They won one game. And then they brought a coach over who brought in, 2 of the top 5 players in the draft? Yeah. And they won 8 games. They got to a bowl. They won a Heisman. I would say Colorado probably, compared to what they were. I would think that has to be the answer.
Maybe they had 2 wins before he showed up, not 1, maybe 2. Or was it 1?
Man. I think it was even worse than what we all had to go through last year.
All right.
I thought they might have been winless. Like I thought they had one season where they were winless. I mean, they were awful. They were an afterthought. And then they turned into not only did they win 8 games last year, but they won a few very close ones, but they also lost a couple of close ones. Like if they don't lose that Kansas game? They might have been in contention for the damn playoff. They could have been playing Kenny for the playoff. So yeah, that's the answer because it was all him. Like it was all portal. It was 60 kids. Yeah. They missed on quite a few, but when you bring in one of the best quarterbacks in the country, one of the top quarterbacks taken.
Does that count, though? He's your son, and the other guy
it
was
does.
pretty much your
get
surrogate
it. It's
son?
It's definitely an asterisk there, but it does count. It is a portal kid. Yeah. So I think it's got to be them. And all those receivers, and obviously the best player in the country came with them.
Colorado was 1-11 in 2022. As far as I can see, they've never been winless. They were also 1-11 back in 2012.
Oh, geez. What were they in 21?
4-8.
And then 2020, how many games they play?
4-2. Yeah, it was like Carl Durrell's.
That's when they got it going. Yeah,
it was Carl Durrell's first year. It was like, he might actually have something cooking.
The Buffs are back.
Let's go to the offensive line portion of the show, and I guess we'll kind of keep it somewhat portal-minded. Pensacola, Noel, I know what you're doing here, man, but I'm going to read the question anyways. You know the answer. You just want us to say it out loud. What offensive linemen on the current roster that have taken snaps as starters were recruited out of high school by Mike Norvell and Alex Atkins? Not transfers, not criticizing. Honestly want to know. Other than Robert Scott, has a single offensive lineman been developed out of high school? But he does add "Go Noles!" all caps ! His avatar, though, is a dumpster fire, a literal dumpster on fire.
Is the question which high school? Not talking about portal. He's talking about guys that were signed by Atkins and Norvell out of high school
that started a game.
And the answer Robert Scott?
I think that is. Yeah.
Did Early start any last year? Not that it matters. He's in the portal now. Look, there is no way to sugarcoat it, and it's not just a Norvell problem. This has been going on since 2014. The Florida State offensive line has been a turnstile of mediocrity, sometimes dumpster fire, always mediocre, with the lone exception, I would say, of 2022. So one season out of the last 11.
Well, go back to. Do you want to go all the way back to 2004 almost? Like you almost want to go back go back to 2005, go back a full 20 years?
Yeah, I mean, yes, going back like the 2002, 2003 offensive line, especially 2002 was very, very good. That was I mean, if Chris Ricks could have just honed it in a little. Let me
put
it this way.
It's
exactly what I was going to say. If Chris Rick's got good quality quarterback coaching to go along with Anquan Boldin and those receivers in that offensive line with Greg Jones and Nick Maddox running behind him, and then Leon Washington coming the next year, come on, man.
Yeah, man.
That was a team that absolutely should have been better than whatever they ended up being in 2002 because that offensive line. I mean, they ran for 300 yards against Miami. And Miami was Miami back then. It's been a problem for a while. And so it's not just a Mike Norvell problem, but let's put it this way. It's a Mike Norvell problem now. It's his issue, and they've been awful at it. They have been absolutely awful at it, and it's not this hard. It's almost as if Florida State is snake bitten. I don't know what they did to where somehow they're the only ACC team that can't put together a competent offensive line every couple years. And I say that. I just admitted that 2022 was good. 2023 was serviceable. But, man, you're Florida State. Why is Clemson? Clemson doesn't put guys in the league either on the offensive line. But their offensive line isn't a disaster every other season. It wasn't a laughing stock for 2 or 3 years like it was under Willie. I don't know, and trick it at the end. What's the deal? It's a fair question. I don't have an answer for it. I know the answer is 0, but it's a fair question, and I don't have the answer for why they aren't being developed. But Herb Hand hopefully will get that thing going, or they'll be really good in the portal and just do this for the rest of the time.
Well, you also kind of think about Jimmy Higgins was here in the 2000s, and then he got replaced by Mark McHale. Then you had Trickett for however long you had. Then you
let me do a little history lesson
Greg
there,
Fry.
Aslan. I know you know it.
Yeah.
After the 02, I think it was 02, when they had 2 back-to-back years. Bowden used to always say he'd quit if he lost 4 games a year or something. Then that happened. He's like, I'm changing the goalpost. But he's like, I know what the problem is, and I'm going to fix it after the 02 season. The only change he made was getting rid of Jimmy Higgins. Jimmy Higgins, by the way, who put together probably the best unit on the team. Now, I don't know. I never met Jimmy Higgins. I know he was there for a while, but I know that offensive line was not the reason that football team was bad. It certainly wasn't the reason that offense was bad, and I can't imagine how furious Jimmy Higgins was that he was scapegoated so the son could run the program into the ground and spiral Florida State football and Florida State offense into the ground.
I think you're misremembering the times. You're misremembering the year. It was after the 24 season when he got rid of Higgins.
2004, you mean?
Sorry, 2004, yes.
Well, weren't they – again –
No, 2003 they were good. 2004 they took a step back. They lost to freaking Florida. Bowden.
Yeah, but they beat Virginia. They were top 10 in the country. They had Wyatt Sexton playing quarterback because Chris Ricks could never be a good quarterback because he got coached horribly. But you kept employing Daryl Dickey, and you kept employing your son. But Jimmy Higgins was the problem. And clearly, Aslan, let me ask you, I don't know why I'm getting so mad about this.
Yeah, well, amen.
When they fired Jimmy Higgins, did it turn back around?
It did not, Corey.
That's weird. That's weird. When did the program start to turn back around?
When Jimbo Fisher got hired as head coach?
Yeah. All right, well, OC, number one, took some baby steps. And then when Higgins got scapegoated, but Higgins had at least produced good offensive lines. And Mark McHale, I'm sure he's a fine offensive line coach. I don't know where he ended up. He wasn't good at Florida State. Nobody was good on the offensive side of the ball for half a decade. And but we're here now. That was 20 years ago, guys. What are we doing? Why am I talking like this? We got to move on. But they need to be better. Clearly, recruiting everything. But offensive line has been a big void for a while now.
Sadly, it's with all sincerity. Apparently, it looks like Mark McHale actually passed away earlier this year in March. There's a byline from the Winchester Star, March 25,
like a year ago? A month ago?
Yeah, apparently. It looks like it. Yeah.
Well, R.I.P. I didn't know that. I hope I did take a shot at it.
No,
right?
you did. But just let people know. I think, I just wanted to clarify that. But yeah, that was after the 2004 season. They went 9-3. They lost to Maryland that year. They lost to Miami in the opener. But yeah, they were ranked 10th. Florida was not ranked, and then Florida beat them, and Ron Zook got carried off the field. And yeah, Bobby's like, listen, I know what needs to be fixed. I've got this. And then his move was to fix the offensive line. But you go from McHale, and then you go to Trickett for however long. Greg Fry, I don't think has landed on his feet. Randy Clements was at North Carolina this past season, so maybe some of it you didn't have the best and brightest. In terms of like talking about like why is Clemson doing well? Like Clemson went and hired like Matt Luke, so you get those kind of guys in your orbit. You're going to be
well. You got a guy now.
Yeah.
You got a guy now. Like
yes.
I don't know where Herb Hand is in the top echelon of offensive line coaching, but he's a good offensive line coach with a proven track record. So unless Florida State is just absolutely snake bitten, you have to imagine that the combination of Gus Malzahn and Herb Hand, if nothing else, will improve the offensive line / running game.
By the way, Andre Otto started 3 games last year. Jalen Early started 6 games last year. So Robert Scott, move over.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys, you owe Alex Atkins an apology. All he's doing is flooding this offensive line with playmakers. I know they probably didn't score a lot of points in those games. We're probably embarrassing on offense the entire season, but still, a couple of them were high school kids that they signed.
Yeah. All right, keeping with the offensive line, it's Bennett-Knoll ! Hey, guys, I'm reading this verbatim. I think we can see 4 of our 5 starting offensive linemen for this year. I think he's anticipating that we know who they are, the 4 out of the 5. Our one starting guard position is still up for grabs, in my opinion, he says. Have you heard of anyone who has emerged to take that spot? And if not, will FSU be willing to spend in the portal to get someone?
So
I think we know the 5, right? Don't we know the 5?
We know. We think we know the tackles, Pettis and
Gunnar Hansen.
Yeah, and then the center is Pettibone.
Correct.
We think.
Yeah.
One guard is Richie Leonard,
and the other one's Medley, probably from UCF.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your starting 5, I would think, right now.
But again, that's not any insider knowledge in the sense that, like, I was at the scrimmage. It wasn't that collection of 5 guys. Let's just say. I don't know if they've even. I can't keep track of who they've admitted has been banged up and who they haven't. So either way, they have not had their full complement. They've admitted as much. They haven't had their full complement of offensive linemen. I think it's going to be those 5. That is an old, experienced, hopefully decent offensive line, a collection of talent, being coached and developed well. After that, like, who's number 6? Is it T.J. Ferguson?
Probably.
Like, who? Is there a swing guy that's going to play both?
I don't think so. That's a question we should ask Gus. Maybe he can give us information on Herb Hand, because remember, like, Alex Atkins' whole thing was not necessarily having a 2 deep. You have like your best 5, and then from there it's the guy that can like swing around. This guy might be it's like, how about we just have a guy that's just really good at playing left guard? So when the left guard goes down, we put him in instead of shuffling everybody around. Also, can we not change our offensive line in the second series of the game?
Well,
but that's neither here nor there.
Time.
But yes, I think like Ferguson, Andre Otto. I think Andre Otto and TJ Ferguson are probably your candidates for interior guys. But I don't know who with Jalen Early going. I don't know who's your 3rd best tackle. I guess Lucas Simmons. You're trying to.
Yeah, he's mentioned Lucas Simmons. They've mentioned Jonathan Daniels a couple of times too. Those are 2 guys that I'd like to see what they might look like in August. So they'll be. I don't think they're in the mix as they're going to be challenging to start. Unless there's more injuries, which it's Florida State, so why wouldn't there be on the offensive line? But I think that those guys will be your primary backups at those positions. And I don't know, like, again, I think if you feel good with those 5, they're old, they're experienced, they can learn an offense quick, they've seen everything an offensive in college football that an offensive lineman can see. I don't know that you need to go get yourself another one unless you've watched one of these guys and you're like, oh, yeah, he can't cut it. But that can't be Medley, because Herb Hand and Malzahn coached him.
Exactly.
So they know what they're getting in him. And the way Gus talked about Pettibone, he's a starter.
Yes, for sure.
So maybe they don't like Richie Leonard, maybe they don't like Ferguson, but I think I think that those 2 guys are the main. I think if they're going to spend money in the portal, it'll be on the other side of the line of scrimmage, in my opinion. But I'm always wrong, so who knows?
I do wonder if they feel the pressing need for a 3rd tackle, because I think, like, I don't know how confident they feel about Simmons and Daniels, and I don't know who the 3rd best tackle would be in that kind.
But are you going to be able to get one? Like, you know what I mean? Like a good one, like a guy that can actually play for you and can compete for a starting spot that's better than Lucas Simmons or Jonathan Daniels, in the sense that there's no guarantee you're going to play. In fact, they just signed 2 kids out of the portal that are old that expect to play.
I think you can get a turn-and-tine kid, I would think.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and I
That
don't
would
think
be
that'd
my
be a bad
goal.
idea.
Honestly, I know you just said you didn't like it, but that would be my goal is to go get a guy that has played both or can play both.
And
like,
it's
dare I say, a Darius Washington type.
What's a bummer too is that Rizzi missed spring, from what at least we were told, because he played a bunch of tackle at Harvard. I think his future here is playing on the interior, but maybe that would have been a guy if they had a whole spring. They could have been like, hey, maybe Herb Hand would have liked some things that he could have done at tackle. Not to say that he wouldn't be able to transform him into that when the preseason camp rolls around, but it would have been nice to have those 15 practices to figure that out. But yeah, something I didn't really think about. But in that spoiler, won't give it all away for free, but I don't think there was offensive line was not listed in the top 5 targets that we published from Michael Langston's intel. But you go check that out, everybody. What I think is going to be in the portal wants list, though, is going to probably be somebody from defense. So let's talk about the defense. We go to our guy, Tennisump. Tennisump says, wake up. We appreciate when people say that. How much faith do you guys have that Tony White will really bring a hard-hitting, aggressive defense that will be, say, top 25 in year number 1? I know he's done it in his last 2 stops, but does he have the talent to do it now? And will they really be aggressive and dynamic right away? Thanks as always for all that you guys do. Our guy didn't win last week or 2 weeks ago, lost in a tiebreaker to a fellow Birminghamian, which I think that's what you call people from Birmingham. There's a particular word for what you call people, the term for people that are from a specific area. I don't know the name of that word. I'll find it someday.
Yeah. Okay.
But in the meantime, I think this is worth jumping into a little bit more, Corey, diving into a little bit more, sparking conversations, perhaps generating discussion sparked by Cummins all coming together at once. Corey, if you could energize us, please.
One more. There we go.
This is why you guys really need to also tap into the YouTube version every now and then, or at least watch the standalone
You get to see my athleticism.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just hearing,
Yeah, that sounds a little awkward. Yeah, it's a little weird, but yeah.
What's not weird is Cummins, everybody. Cummins Lifestyle. Give them a follow on Instagram. That's all we're asking. Cummins, a global power technology leader, everybody. See all the cool things you can do with the own line of products. That includes the portable generators, the portable power stations. This is actually a solar panel kit to re-energize my portable power station. Cummins doesn't leave no one's stone unturned when it comes to giving you all the power you need for your recreational lifestyle. All right, Corey. So, yeah, I guess I don't want to turn this thing on its head. It's Tennisump's question. So, I mean, right there at face value, what do we think? What's the likelihood? Will he really be able to bring a hard-hitting, aggressive defense this year?
Well, yeah, I mean, I have faith in it. A good bit of faith in it, not because of the words he says, although the way he talks is wonderful. I've loved listening to him. I believe in the message. I believe that the players believe in the message. I think he has a way. He and Coach Knighton, specifically on that defensive line, have probably a way of connecting with players that should, bring success. But it's what he's done. It's the track record that gives me the faith, not the words. So Syracuse had a tough defense to prepare for. I think he was at Syracuse for 2 years. I know they got run over by Florida State the one game. The other game, it took as he would point out, a non-holding call on a Jordan Travis scramble on the final drive that set up a big run by Travis and a game-winning field goal by Fitzgerald. That defense, even though without a lot of talent, was a pretty sturdy defense by Syracuse standards without a lot of talent. And they were a bowl-ish team each of those years without the kind of he didn't have a lot of Darrell Jacksons on that team, or Shaheem Browns maybe, or Jabril Rawls or James Williams. And then he goes to Nebraska, and they're really good. They are a top 20 defense. I don't necessarily think he has the talent level of that Nebraska team from last year right now. So I'm not here to say they're going to have a top 25 defense or one of the top 2 defenses in the ACC, but I absolutely have 100% faith that they will be appreciably better. That's all I can give you. I do have faith in that. I don't know that they're going to be incredible or even good, but they will be better. Yeah, I would say the same thing about the offense. I just have faith that these 2 guys know what they're doing and can scheme up defenses that are really hard, and Malzahn's side offenses that are really hard to figure out for the opposing side. I think Tony White has a chance to be one of these up-and-coming superstar coaches. And I do have faith that he'll get this defense to at least be better, much better. But what does that look like, Aslan? Top 50, top 30, top 10? I don't know.
I think the dream was deferred for 2 years at Syracuse. So he inherited the 115th ranked total defense. Year one, which again, this is probably also a weird thing because it was COVID. His first year at Syracuse was 2020. So it was the COVID year. They went up 3 spots to 112.
There you go. Hey, that sounds to me like the start of a climb.
It does. But the following year, so like his first full, if you want to call that year 0, so then technically his first year, if you're subscribed to that sort of stuff, 2021 at Syracuse, they go from being 112th in total defense to 19th.
Wow. Did they really?
Yeah.
And again, this is starting with the age of the portal. This is the portal era. Jermaine Johnson came to Florida State that year, so I'm sure Syracuse got an influx of talent. But by no means do I think Syracuse was able to attract the level of talent that Tony White and Florida State can. So wouldn't that give you hope? And then I don't know what they did in 22, Aslan, but then in Nebraska in 23 and 24, they were at least top 20 defenses both those years, I think, or close to it.
I'm getting there.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
19th in 2021 at Syracuse, and then they were 20th in 2022 at Syracuse.
So not a fluke. Not a fluke.
No. So that gets him the job in Nebraska. Nebraska was 99th in 2022. So the year before he shows up, what led to him, this is not acceptable. We need somebody new. So they go from 99th, they go to 11th in 2023.
Wow. So tennis up, to answer your question, 100% faith. 100% faith that they finish top 25. That's what he does. That's crazy. Now remind people where Florida State finished last year in total defense, if you can find that, because I would imagine it wasn't great.
And to your point about it not being a fluke at Syracuse, he goes from 19th to 20th. Last year, they were 18th in total defense at Nebraska. So they went from 11th to they backslid all the way to 18th. But we would all kill for that because last year, as Corey said, Florida State's defense, not good. Total defense for Florida State last year in that 2-10 dismal campaign, they were 86th in total defense.
In Florida State, so that's 4 straight top 20 defenses he's had at 2 different schools.
2 different conferences.
2 different conferences and taking over worse defenses than the one he's taking over this year statistically. Again, though, it's hard to even say because so many new players that he'll be working with that weren't a part of this defense last year. But there are some holdovers. And look, man, there is a chance this guy is the absolute real deal and is a coaching stud. And you might not have him for long, but he is going to make this. I get all the residents. That's my word of the week about how good this team can be. And I'm not sitting here telling you to book your tickets for Charlotte or wherever the national championship game is, but you have to understand that the improvements they made, not just roster-wise, because that's important, but what they made on the coaching side should pay huge dividends immediately. Is a huge dividend an 8-win season? I don't know. Is it a 6-win season? I don't know, or 10. Who knows? But they are going to be so much better, so much more well-coached, prepared, dialed up in the middle of a game, aggressive, physical, than what we saw last year. I'm really, really excited about that. And they will, I do have faith that they'll play with some real physicality and aggression too.
And another thing to also kind of keep in mind here is that when Tony went to Syracuse, I think that was the first time he was that was his first time as a sole defensive coordinator, not in a co-capacity. But he had to obviously put together a staff there. When he went to Nebraska, I mean, he brought some of these guys along with him that he'd accumulated over the years. Like he brought, with him in 2023 in Nebraska, like he had Terrence Knighton with him. He also had Evan Cooper. So like when he started Syracuse, the reason maybe the dream was deferred 2 years, not only the pandemic, obviously, but probably trying to figure out guys that would work well with him, like what kind of guys he wanted as actual assistants underneath him. Well, he identified those guys when he was in Lincoln, Nebraska, and he brought them all with him to Tallahassee. So there's that one other piece of the puzzle that's already in a better state than it was the last 2 times around for him. So
yeah, and talking to KJ Kirkland, the safety on whenever that was, Tuesday, just ask it. He lights up. So many of these players light up when they talk about the defense and playing in it, and just how much fun it is, and how much creativity he allows them, and not creativity like they get to decide what they're doing, But if they're not
latitude,
but if they're not going to blitz, he does not mind them pretending to blitz, like walking up like they're going to blitz, or if they absolutely are blitzing, to walk back as if they're not, like to get comfortable with fooling and trying to screw with the quarterback. And kids like doing that, man. They like to have a little ownership of what they're doing. And the way when he said how much fun it was, because I asked him, it sounds like this is a lot of fun. This defense is a lot of fun. And he's basically like, you have no idea. It's unbelievable. And I just think letting these players like feel free. They're not playing free. They still have to follow their assignments. They have assignments. They're coached to do things, but feel as if there's a real freedom to play with, and to play with speed, and to preach. Even if you're going to make a mistake, do it at full speed. Quit worrying so much about where you're supposed to be and worry about just getting there fast. All of the stuff that White preaches, along with confusing offenses, it's just going to be more fun. It's just going to be more fun. What wouldn't be more fun than last year, Aslan? A root canal would be more fun.
Hey, man, Darrell Jackson chasing down receivers, 15, 20 yards downfield. Earl Little is him. James Williams unleashed, and apparently he's going to have all of Nebraska hate watching him, so he's probably not going to want to perform poorly at all. So lots of things in the favor of Tony White replicating a top 25 defense. So feel good about, I will say, a vastly improved. I don't want to say top 25, but like top 40. Is that fine?
Sure. Yeah.
Shout out to my guy, Kaysen. Shout out to our friends over at Cummins. Cummins Lifestyle. It's all one word. Give them a follow on Instagram, y'all. Deuces, Corey. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, cptallybar.com, the website. Daily lunch specials, weekdays, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Only $8.99. Comes with a side dish of your choice. And, man, we're going to be playing early, huh? We're going to be golfing early, so there's a good chance we will be hanging out at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill sometime between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. today, I would think, Corey. So maybe people can come take advantage of the lunch special and hang out with us as well.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if we're teeing off at 8, we'll be at Corner Pocket by 1, and then I'll hopefully be asleep in my bed by 2:30 or 3, and then I got to get up for football interviews and baseball. But, yeah, we'll be at Corner Pocket, and come have fun. I'm sure there's probably day baseball going on. We can regale you with our stories from the course. If you play, you obviously absolutely should come. But if you didn't play in the tournament, you can come swing by and say hello.
2475 Appalachia Parkway. Put that in your GPS. Come meet your heroes. We're back. It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it. Take it. This is the question I almost wanted to uncork on the public at large, Corey, and have his generating discussion sparked by Cummins. But it was a little too esoteric. We'll see if you can help me out, though. Rocket89. This is a new person. Let me see. Let me get some intel. Let me get some info. They've been around since August 1st, 2022. This is their 6th post.
Okay.
Shout out. 5 stars that never do much. 2 stars become true stars. Every year we have a spring game. Someone would be deemed a future All-American, then disappear. Last year, everyone saw that our team practice. Last year, everyone that saw our team practice thought we would be good enough to be in the mix for Charlotte, but we were not. Clearly, there are a lot of false signs about future success. Have you seen any qualities that correlate well to succeeding at this level, or is it all a crapshoot? We haven't watched a lot, so go ahead, Corey. Sorry.
I mean, I don't know what he wants us or she to say. We don't watch practice. So the answer is no. Have we seen anything? No. We don't watch practice.
I don't think.
If that's the question.
I don't think there's, and listen, I'm not trying to be self-deprecating here. I don't really know if you, as an outsider, not being in a meeting room, not knowing what they're actually trying to execute on a particular play. I mean, if a guy drops a ball, he drops a ball, and you're like, all right, well, that's not good. But again, we saw them practice, and it did not look bad. It did not look like a team that was on the precipice of not having one single win over an FBS team. They ran the ball well at times. I mean, there was guys pulling. They were running their GT play that they love so much with their guards and their tackle and the counter plays. That was successful during the preseason stuff. We saw DJ connect with Morlock over the middle, 15, 20-yard chunk plays. Like, all right, they got this part of the offense. They got that part of the offense. Malik Benson's a speedy guy. They've got all this defensive pieces. Josh Farmer money here. Daryl Jackson money here. Patrick Payton money here. Like, there's all Azaria Thomas, Fenchal Cypress. Like, they had all these good pieces, and everybody seemingly was practicing well. The coaches seemed to like it. So I don't want to absolve us of anything, but to the point of, I don't know if I could watch practice every single day for 15 years and be able to tell you with a certainty that this team is going to be awesome. The reason why I felt that 2023 was going to be so good was because we saw how well they ended the previous season, and then they added Keon Coleman. You kind of thought when this Braden Fisk guy gets healthy and he gets inserted into the lineup, and just the way they talked about Jordan and how we saw Jordan not even so much perform, but just the way he carried himself and really became like this voice and this leader of this team, like that made you feel good. So you can kind of see that stuff. Otherwise, I don't know. I mean, if you would have seen the 2013 team practice, would you have thought, yeah, man, they might actually be legitimately the best college football team ever? I don't know if you can really pick that stuff up. So for me, Corey, it's really like their recruiting profile and who's gone after them. Like if you're pulling guys away from Kirby and Ryan Day, I'm like, all right, that kid's probably going to be pretty good. Otherwise, it's really tough to say in practice. Like, did you really see Jared Verse ever do anything in practice that you're like, that guy bona fide, completely top 10, he should be a top 10 pick? Other than the way he just looks. You know, like in practice, did you ever see him do stuff that you're like, there's no way he cannot be a top 10 pick?
Well, he wasn't a top 10 pick. But
first, like,
yeah,
top 20-ish pick.
Yeah, I did. You saw the athleticism, not just the size and what he looked like. I mean, you saw him pushing people around and making plays in the backfield. You saw Keon making crazy catches. Not just, he's open and he caught it because he found a hole in his own and he's got a good quarterback. He went up and made spectacular catches. Johnny did too. We saw all that. Now, we didn't see that last year to nearly the degree. And if you did listen to us, we did talk about that. Like, the wide receivers got kind of buried by the DBs most practices. Even in the one-on-ones, they just didn't. They had a lot of bad practices, or let's put it another way: the DBs had good practices. We didn't think that meant that the wide receiver room was the worst in the conference.
You didn't think it was going to lead to an offense that was going to be one of the worst in all of Power 5.
How could you, man? How could you?
That's what I'm saying.
Like if astute football minds could have seen that, and I'm not considering myself an astute football mind, but why didn't Alex Atkins just quit? He could have seen it in August and go, I gotta come up with like a family matter or something that I'm dealing with, or a heart condition for a few months. I don't want to be associated with this. Like, these guys that get paid to do this put this product out there and believed in it, including the head coach. There's no way, and Ira brings up a good point. It's true. That was not a 2-10 roster. It devolved into madness once the season got out of hand, and that goes back to the personality and, kind of the character of the team, that when the tough got going, they just up and quit. But that was not a 2-10 roster. It wasn't a 10-2 roster either. It was somewhere in the middle.
Well, Nick Saban did say that he thought they were one of the 5 most talented rosters in the country preseason.
Yeah.
He said that.
And you look, man. Again, I just want to bring this up. Watching a practice and being able to determine that a team can't run the ball is impossible, because they don't run. There's no tackling, and it looked like they could run the ball. But again, could they run the ball when Farmer and Jackson were in the game? I don't know. And we can litigate it and say we all got it wrong. We thought they were going to be better. I thought they were going to be better just simply, than they were, not better than 2023, just simply because I believed in the head coach. I believed in the head coach. I believed in his evaluation processes because they had worked. He had a track record, albeit a small track, but he had a track record of 19 straight wins. There's no way I could have fathomed that what I was watching in spring of last year, and then obviously in the August of last year, would morph into the worst football team in Florida State history. How could you? And if I had thought that, I definitely wouldn't have told you people about it, because you would have stopped listening to the show. You're like, Corey's lost his mind. He thinks they're going to be an embarrassment. Nobody would have wanted to hear that, and I wouldn't have said that even if I thought that, but I didn't.
I hope you would. You don't mean that.
How would I know? How would I look at what we saw at a football practice and be like, well, these guys just can't play? You have DJU throwing to LaWayne McCoy, or throwing to Cam Fryer, or throwing to people that he probably won't be throwing to. a lot of the time. Then you have Brock Glenn coming in and throwing to Malik Benson. Well, they're not going to hook up, but you don't think they're going to play a lot. It's a lot of mixing and matching on the offensive and defensive lines. It's not a lot of good on good the whole time. And when it was good on good, as we've joked, it was really bad on bad, but we didn't know it. So when the offense was able to run the ball, it's like, yeah, because they were going up against a soft-ass defense. And when the defense did make plays in the backfield, it's like, yeah, because they were going against a horse-blank offense. We thought it was like, oh, this must be a pretty good offense because they're running against this defense, and this defense has got some dudes on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just hard. It would be hard to watch it this year. I would never come out and say, yeah, they're going to be 10-2 or 11-1. I would be able to tell you players that I think can play. That was to me the best advantage of watching practices is you got real indicators of what players could actually play and make a difference.
Yeah, the problem is, there should be like a nuance spectrum of like you can see a team and be like that's national championship caliber, and then maybe there shouldn't be no. You should be at least be able to tell, all right, that team looks like they can win a championship. That team looks like they're going to struggle to win a single football game. And I've mentioned that the 2023 preseason practice had a look, had a feel, had a sound of like these guys are incredible. These guys are talented. They're just running fast. You can feel their speed, their power just watching them being 20, 30 yards away from them. You could feel that. At no point did I feel anything close to that with last year's team. But at no point did I look at that team and be like, oh my God. At no point in the preseason. Like when we were in October watching them practice, it was yeah, this team is horrendous. Like they're going to struggle to win games. But man, March, April, July, August, no, I never looked at I did not see anything from that team that you thought, holy smokes, they are going to struggle to score more than a dozen touchdowns on offense this year.
Yeah, like how could you? You wouldn't have believed it even if you thought that. You wouldn't even allow yourself to think it. Because, nobody could have fathomed. It's beyond comprehension to be as bad as they were on offense.
But you should be able to see it. That's what I think, Corey. Like, I'm not asking you to tell me the difference between a 6-win team and a 9-win team. That's probably too tough to say. But golly, like, we thought 10 wins, probably 10 wins, probably. But 2, like, I figured a 2-10 team would look like if we went to watch an NAIA team right now, just like practice against air. I was like, yeah, these are bad news bears. They're probably not going to win a bunch of games,
I guess, but again, it goes back to me. It goes back to how do you identify if you have a running game or not when we don't. Like that's why I was so encouraged by what I saw in the scrimmage to move it ahead to this year, which actually matters. The one thing we did see, what I was so encouraged by in the scrimmage is there was the semblance of a running game with real physicality and tackling. So I don't know how they ran the ball in the scrimmage last year. I doubt when they had their scrimmages because they couldn't run it when the season started. And I doubt that the receivers made a bunch of plays in the scrimmages because they didn't when the season started. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in practices, they're not tackling, so you don't know. And that was the whole basis for any positivity I had about the offense last year was I thought they'd be able to run the ball. I thought they had upgraded the offensive line at certain positions. I thought the guys coming back would improve. That's theoretically what's supposed to happen. And I thought they'd be able to run the ball. And they could not at all.
Well, we're not done relitigating the past yet. Let's go down to Naples. M. Adams CZ. It's our guy, Mark. Wake up. I keep thinking back to spring of 23 when we all just knew that the 2023 team would be good to great. Then Mike adds Keon and Braden Fisk after spring, and then it's a 13-0 roster. Snub happens outside of our control, but we had just won 19 straight games, beating our rivals and finally getting over the Clemson hump. Recruits to replace the 2023 talent, at least to a decent degree, should have been plentiful. How in the world did Norvell and staff field a 2-10 roster in 2024 that played like that? Real quick, again, Ira said it's probably not a 2-10 roster. Just blows my mind. I think the transfers and NIL rules were substantially the same then. What's your best explanation for all of this? It's a mystery wrapped inside a riddle.
Inside an enigma.
Inside an enigma, yeah.
Yeah, that's from JFK. By the way, we need to talk to Mark because all those files were released like a month ago. I want to know if there was any new data on who killed who killed our former president.
Yeah.
In Dallas. We know Oswald was a part of it. Let's go. We all know that. Oswald was definitely a part of it. I don't think he was a patsy, but he wasn't working alone. That guy was not the brightest bulb. He did not organize that. And then what's he doing in the theater? What movie was he watching when he got? And he killed an officer. Anyway, guys, if you haven't heard of it, John F. Kennedy Jr. was the president in 1963, and he got assassinated in Dallas, Texas. Go look it up. There's some conspiracy theories out there about who actually did it. I think, going back to Ira's point, I don't think it was not anywhere close to a Florida State caliber roster or even a Mike Norvell Florida State caliber roster. I'm not even going back to the dynasty years, but it clearly wasn't good enough. I think they fell in love with the prospect of guys that were 5-star recruits. I mean, they just went and got Alabama's backups. Well, I mean, Alabama wasn't that good last year. So you went and got guys that couldn't start for that team, theoretically, and brought them onto your team, and they weren't any good for you either. I think they just fell in love with too many guys that had high school resumes but had done nothing at the college level, which kind of went against everything they had done to build the roster. They went and got proven guys for the most part at smaller schools, and that I thought after 23 they went and got what they thought were shiny objects. But, the shine was off them, man. Sean Murphy wasn't a big deal anymore. Earl Little wasn't a big deal anymore. Earl Little might start for them, by the way, this year. It might be a big deal now. But he wasn't a big-time player for them last year. They didn't even know what to do with him. They just went and got him. It didn't seem like they had any rhyme or reason for what they were doing. I think the guy that would have been the best addition to me, assuming they would have used him correctly, was Jalen Lucas. And then he went down in game 2 with 5 touches. I think that guy, who got little fanfare, would have been a really nice addition. But Roydell Williams, Malik Benson, Jalen Brown, Cam Riley, Sean Murphy, I'm sure there's a defensive lineman I'm forgetting. The Lola Haya kid, I thought should have played a lot more.
Kelly.
Grady Kelly was just serviceable. I thought Lola Haya should have played more than he did. I don't know why he didn't, other than Marvin Jones Jr. promised something to him. I don't know, playing time, snaps. But, I thought they changed the way they portaled, and it came back and bit them. They went and got guys that were not proven at all but had sterling prep resumes. Well, who gives a flying F about what you did in high school anymore when it comes to college football? I don't. I don't care if you were a 6-star recruit. If you haven't done anything, at the college level, if you've been a backup for 2 years, that matters not at all, So I think they learned their lesson when you go back and look at who they got out of the portal this time around. Right? Seems like a lot more proven commodities.
Yeah, and I think guys that embrace wanting to lead, not necessarily. And we've mentioned this so many times, right? Like, it's one thing when you sign up to come to the team that just won 19 out of their last 20 games.
True.
It's another thing when you sign up to come to the team that beat Charleston Southern and Cal, and that's all they did last year. So, and there's an anecdotal thing too about that halftime against Georgia Tech that I think I actually accidentally tweeted it. I still have the video, but Yak is yelling at the players as they're walking into the tunnel to go to the locker room at halftime of the Georgia Tech game in Dublin, because they all sprinted to the tunnel to go to the locker room at halftime instead of going and listening to Mike Norvell make his pre-halftime locker room speech on the grass. So a lot of that is not having guys that can lead, not having all these new guys that don't know how you operate. I'm sure you maybe did that once or twice in a scrimmage in the spring, but you added other guys. So, I mean, that was almost like a microcosm of, you brought in all these new guys, and not only are they new and they don't understand your culture and the way you operate, but they're also not like great football players on top of that. We could maybe get away with you running to the locker room and getting your hydration on and getting a new fresh jersey because you're sweat through it if you're out there making 3.5 TFLs, but like, that's not what you got out of any of the guys that you brought in. So scholars will talk about this. Shoot, I think at one point we get too bored this offseason, Corey. All we need to do is just make some video like what really happened to Florida State in 2024. We could probably retire.
And it would just be a picture of us going, well, we don't know.
Well, not even, it's just like just like the word shit. We'll have like a really cool looking thumbnail image or something, and then it'll just be like, we don't know.
We don't know. They screwed up.
Yeah.
They screwed up, gang. They misevaluated, didn't develop real well. Let's hope it's better next time.
Yeah. All right, let's get to this one. I like this one. This will cheer me up a little bit. Bit of a palate cleanser. Our guy Philip Morris, although his product's not a palate cleanser at all. Tobacco, kids, stay away from it.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Who's been
well said, Aslan. Well said.
Thanks, man. Smoke-free class of 2000, man. The propaganda worked on me.
Yeah, that's right.
Who's been the best coach to interview that didn't give just coach type of speak answers?
I mean, I think that's absolutely Tony White. Don't you?
I was going to go Link Jarrett, but if we're going to keep it football.
Oh, I thought we were keeping it football. Oh, yeah, Link is
Link's the best. I love the dude.
So after I watched our video, did you get the video after the 19-0 game?
No, it was our intern, Andrew. Shout out.
Oh, he got it up. There you go, Andrew.
Yeah, that's
well
right.
done.
Learn his lesson.
Take two, baby.
Yeah,
take two. He had like a 4-minute opening statement about a 19-0 win. He's remembering play like he's replaying the game in his head and going over some of the things happen and it's just you can learn a lot by just listening to him talk after wins or losses. He just has a way of approaching the game, talking about the game that is really, I think, kind of unique and fun and interesting and informative, educational. So go watch those guys. But I would still say Tony White.
I don't think he's giving us coach speak, right? He's giving us a lot of good, flowery, uplifting stuff, but he's also admitted. I mean, I think the fact that he admitted early on, I think after that first scrimmage, right, that he had that sense of like, oh no, here we go again from his players at one point in the practice. Like that was revealing. That was really cool, I think, to show some level of like, I don't want to call it vulnerability, but at least just that like, hey, we're not this perfect, well-oiled machine right now. I've still got some things I've got to buff and sand and clean up when it comes to fixing this team. So that was a cool thing to hear. But yeah, I do feel, I mean, he's just so clear. He's just so clear in what he's saying. Like, there's not a lot of like, I'm trying to protect against saying this, or I'm trying to really project this. It's just him answering these questions pretty much right at face value. So I appreciate that. And I don't know, is he an easier guy to transcribe than most of the coaches that you've had to sit there and live transcribe over the years, Corey?
No, he isn't. Because he's not. I can't quite put a finger on it, but he's not. He's easier than Fuller. Fuller talked pretty fast, but and he's easier than Norvell, but he's not as easy as Malzahn. I can tell you that much. Malzahn is pretty easy to transcribe. But yeah, I like Tony White because he gives you. He gives you kind of insight into the relationship between him and the players and what he's looking for, and it's not just he's doing pretty well. He'll break it down a little bit, like the relationship. Like I keep going back to when he told Jabril Rawls, "Hey man, you're an NFL DB.
Yeah. Like
play like it. Know that, understand that, going in like that." He told Daryl, you talk to us about Daryl, should be the best defensive lineman in the country. He's not scared to say stuff like that either, which may or may not be true, either one of those statements, but I like that he's willing to say stuff like that, to go on the record, to put himself out there, and to tell his players how good they can be. That's always I think that's, you build them up, man. I think building them up, making kids believe in themselves is a really big deal. To relate it to my own life a little bit, and it's not even close to the same thing, but like, Brady Clark had a really struggle with confidence, a crisis of confidence. And then this year he goes, and I've been telling him, I'm like, dude, if you do this one thing with your swing, who knows how good you could be. And then he had his best year since he was like 11, hitting the ball. And he hits with authority even though he's 5'8". Like he can drive the ball. And so much of it is just him believing in himself and understanding, oh, yeah, I can play at this level. And it's not the level that, he's not playing at J.D. Drew's level. But at his level, he's kind of maxed out at what he can be, which is good. And it gives him confidence that he can do this. He can hit balls over the fence. He can make guys run into the fence trying to catch a double off the wall. He can actually run out a double instead of sitting there and staring at it as it hits off the fence and then he gets thrown out at second. We all learn lessons, Aslan, but he's like, having somebody believe in themselves is so valuable, and I don't know how often coaches do that, but I think this crew on the defensive side especially, Knighton and White, have no issues telling kids how good they should be. And it's not smoke. They're not blowing anything other than what they think is the truth. When they tell Darrell Jackson you should be a first-round pick, they absolutely mean it. Whether it happens, we'll see. But the fact that Tony White will share stuff like that with us is absolutely not coach speak, and I like him for it.
We're back. Wake Up Warchant, Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Probably last segment of the week. Again, it's going to be tough to try to knock something out today, folks. So we're going to be up at like 6 in the morning. I should just not even suck. I got to get up so I can go golf. Wah.
Yeah.
Wah.
You're getting up at 6?
Well, I'll probably get up at like 6:15 or so because I'll get out of bed by 6:30. Then I can make breakfast and then get over to
yeah, that's right. I'll have a protein bar. So I'll be getting up at 7:08, I hope. Yeah. And then get to the course by 7:45.
Do you think Tom was really being honest when he said that he was trying to even get the tournament started earlier at 7? Or was he just
no way. Because then he would be. Who wants to play golf at 7 in the morning?
Golf people.
There's crazy people. You guys are crazy.
I think that I love this tournament. It's the highlight of my spring every year. But yeah, I don't know. It usually takes like a good 5.5 hours to play 18 out there, I feel like. But maybe we'll be a little bit more. Maybe you're
with a good team this year, so your best ball is going to be rolling pretty quick, I think.
I can hope. All right, let's get through the rest of this. I should have did this when we were doing the 2024 Black Cloud part of the podcast, but we can maybe spin it. Panama Nole. Let's get some details on this person. They've also been around since August 1st, 2022. Okay. It's their 53rd ever post on the boards.
All right.
Wake up, fellas. First time asking a question. Obviously, we all know how bad football has been on and off over the last 7 years. The one perfect season we had was crapped on by Boo Corrigan and the committee.
Yeah.
With that said, in your opinion, in what order would you consider that these other FSU programs have been snake bitten over that same time span? Which, by the way, backtracking, Lonnie Alameda is also no coach speak, completely awesome interview. Should have mentioned that in the previous.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, so other snake bitten instances of Florida State athletics of yesteryear. Lonnie and the ladies having to go against Oklahoma's dynasty.
Every year, yeah.
Likely would have had 2 or 3 more titles had it not been for Patty Gazzo and the Sooners. Baseball, unchecked swing versus Tennessee. Likely, probably win it all if that gets called as an out as it should have been.
No way am I assuming that. But they definitely win that game. Absolutely win that game. I didn't get warm fuzzies when they played Tennessee that second time because they got beat that game. Now, they would have maybe had Arnold the next night to win the winner-take-all game, but, you can't assume.
Too much butterfly effect.
You can't assume that, but it ruined their chances. They had no chance, I think, in my opinion. Once they lost that game, they had no chance, which is why that setup is so stupid.
I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, their win probability of winning that tournament probably, like, I don't know, everybody starts off at like 10 or whatever. I don't know. There's, 8 teams out there, so I don't know. Somebody else do the math for me. But whatever,
it's not
like
10.
So
it's not 10.
I know. I just like to use a round number when I can.
I'd say like 12.5, maybe. I think it's 12.5%.
All right, so every team that shows up in Omaha has a 12.5% chance of winning the tournament. Like whatever Florida State was, the precise moment before that pitch was thrown, like it was probably like, I don't know, like 30 or something. And then it instantly dropped to like probably under 2% after they lost that game.
If I was doing the math, I would have said after that game, before that check swing, if that check swing is called a strike, Tennessee, I think after that game, in my opinion, this is not the mathematical formula. It's just my opinion. They have a 50% chance of winning because they're going to win that bracket now.
Yeah.
So they have a 50% chance of winning. If they lose that game, I think that goes down to 9 or 10%. Meanwhile, Florida State, I think, if they win that game, they're at 33%. They have about a 1 in 3 chance of winning the World Series if they win that game. They lost that game, and legitimately, Aslan, I think you're right. I'd say 1.5%, 2%. I don't know how many people have lost their first game and won the College World Series, but it's a minuscule number.
It's like 2, I think, in the last like 25 years. I think.
So that's 8%. But also Florida, knowing the makeup of Florida State's team and how they had to pitch John. They didn't have starting pitching because of the injury to Leiter. So they had to pitch John Abraham in a winner-take-all game. And I think they had to pitch Andrew Armstrong before that in another game. Like, they just didn't have the ability to fight back. That particular Florida State team didn't have the ability to fight back with strong starting pitching. So that's why that was such a monumental call. But I'm not thinking that they win that World Series if they win that game. I'm just thinking they have a much better chance. But it's Florida State baseball, so can you really assume that, oh, yeah, they won that first game, they'll win the next 4, la-di-da.
No, but there's
World
a point,
Series championship.
There's a point where it's got to be them. And when Jamie Arnold, your ace, struggles, but you still win that game and you beat Tennessee and you're in the winner's bracket, and Carson Dorsey was what he was, like, yeah, I mean, I don't know that offense was going to give anybody a problem in that ballpark. It didn't matter who. And that was such a.
That's true. And you have Dorsey pitching game 2, you win that game, and then I think you get 2 days off, maybe 3 days off. So maybe Arnold does get to pitch. Arnold definitely gets to pitch one of the 2 against Tennessee, but then he's not there for the championship series. You see what I mean? Like, it's such a stupid. I was talking about this on Headlines. I would love, if I became commissioner for a day, there's a bunch of things I would change. Virginia Tech not broadcasting baseball games would be one of them. There should be an edict that they have to do that instead of women's lacrosse or men's lacrosse. I don't care. Having your cameras dedicated to lacrosse instead of a top 25 baseball matchup is just certifiably stupid. But one of them would be, I would change the way they award the baseball championships. Send 8 teams out there. You play a best 2 of 3 with all of them. 1 plays 8, best 2 of 3. 2 plays 7, best 2 of 3, and you move on that way. This nonsense is not how baseball should. This isn't how baseball is played at any level, except college. At any level, Little League. Well, maybe Little League. I guess they do this too. But high school, usually most high school states anyway. I don't know if Florida still has a weird one, maybe, but that you play a series and you advance. Major League Baseball, Minor League Baseball, you play a series in advance. Korea, Taiwan, Japan, they play series. College baseball, you go and play one game. If the umpire doesn't call a check swing, well, we don't have any chance to win anymore. We're still out here. We still got players, but the odds of us winning 5 games in a row are, because we're playing 5 really good teams that made it to Omaha, are impossible. You don't get to set up your pitching. You're ended up pitching a middle reliever in the biggest game of the year to start. It's just nonsense. It's not what the sport is supposed to be. So I would love if they change it. I don't care if they have to stay out there an extra 2 weeks. It's already out there for a month. Make the super regionals part of the experience. I don't care, but switch it. Change it. Come on, Aslan. Next question. 3
teams in the last 20 years have lost the first game and then gone on to win it. 12 all-time.
Oh, but all time, that used to be a whole different deal back in the day.
Yeah, I'm sure the bracket was different.
Yeah.
But so we got to rank these, and the other one would be the 2022 basketball team being shut out by COVID. So those 2020, sorry.
Yeah.
Those 3 instances being on the same timeline as Patty Gazzo and OU's dynasty.
Yeah.
Getting hosed on a check swing call and getting hosed to a global pandemic.
I would say I don't want to put softball out there because they did win it. They did get to win a national championship.
Yes.
They did get one.
Yes.
And yes, they probably win at least. When the year they took Oklahoma to the 3rd game, that I think any other year that was they're winning. Even was it 2 years ago they played them in the championship series with Cats.
Yeah.
Cats last year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think any other program in America, at any other time in America, maybe, Florida State wins that one too. So that is unlucky. Like, Lonnie should probably have at least one more. But she already has one. So I don't think that counts. I would say the basketball team. Yes. Because, again, I'm not convinced that team was even going to make the Final Four. I think they absolutely win their first-round game because it's a 2 versus 15. I would have been stunned if they didn't make it to the second weekend. But you guys see, man, once you get to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, it's all a crapshoot. Like, Florida just won the national championship. Florida was awesome all season, and they should have lost to Texas Tech.
Or UConn, or even in the championship game.
Yeah, or especially the champion. Or the Final Four game, they were down 8 to Auburn at halftime. So the point, it's really hard to win college NCAA tournament games. But that team was set up for a really good run. I'm not convinced that they would have done it, but they were set up for a really good run, and that's a bummer that we didn't get to see Trent Forrest with the game in his hands, down by 1 or in a tie game in an Elite 8 game. That's a bummer, man. That was a loaded team, and they had all the parts you need to make a deep run. That's mine. Just because I don't know, man. Baseball's had plenty of chances with great teams, and it hasn't worked out. So I don't feel that sorry for them last year when they got hosed on the check swing, because that also wasn't Game 3 of the championship series either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you throw your hands up in the air like we're snake bitten, I think you're the best basketball team in your modern history falls in the year of a pandemic.
Yeah,
like that's pretty snake bitten.
It's tough. I think there was another team that year that was really good. That's not usual. It was like Dayton with the Toppin kid.
Oh yeah.
Like they were a top 5 team too, and they didn't even get it. I mean, I feel worse for them. I mean, when's the next chance Dayton has a legit chance? They're going to be like a 2 or a 3 seed or a 2 seed, and has a legit chance to make a Final Four run. That's never going to happen to Dayton. Luke Laux is going to have this team in the Elite 8 next year, gang. They got another commitment on Wednesday, Aslan.
Yeah, they did. Can't stop, won't stop. By the way, the story he told the booster function about landing the kid from Florida Southern was amazing. Yeah, they got a point guard, Cam Miles.
From IMG. Yep.
High school.
I think the last kid they got from IMG, Aslan, was Jonathan Isaac. Was Jonathan Isaac an IMG kid? I think he was.
Yeah, I think so.
And Scotty Barnes was at the other one with
Montverde or whatever.
With Cade Cunningham and a bunch of dudes that are in the NBA now. That's ridiculous, by the way, but whatever. Whatever.
All right, 2 more.
Let's do it.
This one's tricky. Armchair Osceola. Wake up question for both of you. A word that's been bandied about recently. By the way, he put brandied.
Well, he must. Yeah, maybe it was
the
text
R,
problem.
fat finger. It's okay.
But bandied about is a great phrase.
It
People
is.
should use it more often.
Yeah. A word that's been bandied about recently pertaining to the economy has been tariff. What level of? I'm sure I was trying to really go like towards a political question, but I balked. Suppose you were named college football czar tomorrow and were given the option to apply tariffs in an effort to fix the current NIL and transfer madness. How would you apply these tariffs? Would they be levied on position groups, coaching hires, conferences, as a percentage of revenue, etc.? What would be the substance of the Warchant Accord in setting trade between the conferences and bringing sanity back to this landscape? This actually would have been a really good generating discussion thing, too.
Yeah. Really. Come on, Aslan. That's a good one.
My tariffs would be applied not to position groups or the amount of money you make if you're making – I'm not trying to settle a budget imbalance between Arizona State and Alabama. That's not my goal. My goal with tariffs would be to compensate schools that lose players, like lesser-level programs – that lose their players. Like Albany should have gotten they should have got 50% of whatever Jared Verse got. And then coaches, because we always say buyouts.
To what end? To what end? What is Albany going to do with that money?
I don't know, man. Try to at least fund something on their campus that brings their people joy, because they're not going to be able to at least go around and brag that they have
like
Jared
a dog
Verse.
Race. Like aren't they the Greyhounds?
They're the Great Danes. They're the Danes.
Oh, the Great Dane. Well, imagine that. I'm tired of watching Greyhounds run. Let's have a Great Dane race. That would be exciting. You could get kids could ride them.
Yeah. And then for coaches, we always talk about he's got a buyout. He's got a buyout in his contract. It's like, no, his buyout is if you fire him, he gets a golden parachute. Like Washington should have got $5 million, $10 million from Alabama for sealing away their coach. So I just want to compensate people that are losing assets because of this crazy world that we're living in. And then maybe if you have to also not just pay the player, but you have to then pay the institution, maybe that makes it less likely that you're going to poach players away from other programs. How would you use it, Commerce Secretary Clark?
Yeah, I'm somewhere along in the same vein, something like that. I don't care about all the Albanys of the world, though. I care about, I don't know why, because I'm not a big fan of their coach. But like South Carolina, that lost like Jamie Robinson and Keir Thomas and Jaheim Bell, all to the same school. They should get something. And also, I think like maybe you're allowed 10 portal guys, but after that, you have to pay. I don't know how it would even work, though. Who are you paying? There's no entity to pay. You paid. So my thought would be, yes, you have to. There has to be some compensation for the school. There has to be a buyout, which I think might actually be a thing if and when the House settlement that never gets settled passes.
So it's part of your budget limit, right? You can only spend you got $20.5 million. You can use that however you want. But if a kid
signs an NIL contract he has a buyout in it. Like if the kid from California was getting paid, the running back, who's now at Oklahoma, Jaden Knott. Yeah. So he was not in the portal log, by the way.
He was not.
I don't know what Cal was paying him. I mean, he ran for 1,300 yards in 23, so I bet they paid him, I'm going to get, let's just throw it out there, $200,000. Okay. And he did not deliver on that this past year. He ran for like 400 yards. He was banged up. But so if he has a contract that's $200,000, the tariff should be if you go somewhere else when we still want to keep you, it's double what we were paying you. We have to get paid. So is Oklahoma willing to pay, and now I'm sure they paid much more than this, but would they be willing to pay $400,000? So right now, anybody that wants the kid from Tennessee, if he was making 2.2, the quarterback, well, you have to pay Tennessee 4.4.
Ooh.
Tennessee gets double of what, hey, man, it's the age of huge tariffs. We're living in that reality. Let's make it a 200% tariff to come take our best players. And if you're willing to do that, then so be it. Albany wasn't paying Jared Verse squat, so they don't get much. But the other schools, if you've invested in this kid, and you get paid what you paid him, times two.
But they identified him. I don't know, maybe they were desperate. He was desperate. But, that's the whole thing. It's like they gave that kid a weight room, and they gave him a football field, and he got on a few cameras because he played for that program, and they got nothing out of it.
Yeah, but it's like, man, they got, maybe he'll say their name on Monday Night Football,
and then he's gonna get the wrath of social media. But I get what you're saying. Apparently, as we're recording this, Colin Cowherd's getting in the news breaking business. Says that Nico to UCLA is most likely going to happen. Family claims it's not about the money; it was about the offense. Running
right. Yeah, because they struggled last year. They barely made it into the playoff.
Barely made it.
They must have been a horrible team to play for. But go to UCLA because all they do is win championships and make the playoffs.
Deshaun Foster, known as the architect of high-flying offenses.
Yes, correct.
I don't even know who their OC is. I know they used to have Eric Bieniemy, but they fired him. I should look up who that is. Bieniemy. Sleeping with Bieniemy. Sleeping with Bieniemy. All right, last question. Tino Sinceri. I knew that. They brought him from Indiana. Yeah, the Indiana offense are going to run out there in L.A. So.
Oh, all right. Okay. Wonder if he has the same track record as Heupel.
Yeah, I don't know. He was around 6, though. All right, last question. It's Turd Ferguson, 904. Hey, fellas, let's keep it light this week. What would be your top 3 for songs written or performed by artists from or associated with Tallahassee?
Oh.
He says, What's This Life For by Creed, Roadhouse Blues by The Doors, Love Vigilantes by Iron and Wine. I Googled Iron and Wine, never even heard of these folks. I should have Googled the song. That would probably be the better thing to do.
What's the Creed song?
What's This Life For? I don't know. That sounds like maybe something off their original album.
Because what's their song? I don't like Arms Wide Open. They do have a song I like.
My Own Prison. It was a big hit. Higher?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I like that song. I guess that one? Okay. If I was going to choose a Doors song, it would probably be This Is the End, just because of its relationship with Apocalypse Now. It's a cool ending. And Jim Morrison, for those that don't know, and probably most of you don't, was he arrested in Tallahassee?
Yes. Famous mugshot of him, yeah.
Yeah, but was he a student at Florida State? I don't know if he was a student at Florida State or not, but he was arrested in Tallahassee before he became a huge superstar and then died. Also buried in Paris, which I always thought was a little bit odd. What's Seminole Wind?
He transferred to Florida State. He did transfer to Florida
State.
Oh,
there you go, Jim Moore. Yeah, okay. I thought he might have been a student here. Yeah, so that's cool.
I should look this up right now. So he got arrested September 23rd for disturbing the peace and petty larceny while drunk at a Florida State home game. Let's go to Nole Fan, 1963 football, and see what game.
What date is it?
What was it? September 28th, 1963. They played Texas Christian, TCU. They lost 13-0. He must have been pissed off about that.
Yeah, offense. He was pissed off. He was mad at the OC.
He had money on the over.
Yeah, well, and he was also just walking out of there being like, can we get somebody to throw the ball to this Biletnikoff kid? He's good, I promise. Nobody can throw him the ball. Did they? Was Biletnikoff playing that game?
He was.
How about that?
It was on the roster release. Yeah.
So they say that Jim Morrison was arrested after a Florida State football game?
In his Wikipedia page. Why would they lie?
So he was in the same stadium with Fred Biletnikoff. Jim Morrison, sitting there wearing his Biletnikoff jersey. He didn't strike me as a sports fan, Aslan, I'll be honest with you. It's cool that he was there. He's probably just there because it was the social thing to do. But it would be really funny if he was one of the guys listening on the radio, charting the plays. Like,
I like to turn down the TV at home and listen to my radio guy.
Yeah.
While I was researching this, I found out that apparently one half of the hip-hop band Dead Prez was from Wakulla, but he went to FAM.
What about
So I'm going to add hip-hop by Dead Prez.
And I would add, because Seminole Win is not the right answer. There was a chance there, but and also I do like the Smoking the Bandit song, but I would choose a song out of Boogie Nights, obviously. If I'm its connection with Burt Reynolds, if I'm choosing one of his movies, but
those artists,
Florida Georgia Line.
Okay.
Right? Didn't one of them play baseball at Florida State for half a year or something?
I think so, yeah. Why? Maybe they can help out our NIL situation.
And they have that song with Nelly, their big hit with Nelly, their crossover.
Cruise.
There you go. And that was good grief.
Song, you make me want to roll my whip.
So Brady, by the time he was 6 years old, knew every word to the rap to that song.
Incredible. Imagine if he applied himself like that to the.
But I mean, we listened to it too much. But he would always ask on Sundays if we could drive with the windows down and blare that song so we could sing along to it.
And Cruise.
Cruise, yeah. So that one sentimentally is one of mine. And then this is the end because it's when Colonel Kurtz is killed in Apocalypse Now to go away from the nostalgia and sentimentality a little bit. And then Creed higher because that was a good jam. I know Creed gets a lot of grief with good reason, but I really did like that song back then.
My Own Prison, I think, is like a reasonably good.
Maybe I'm thinking of My Sacrifice.
Oh, that's another good.
But I don't like that song. But My Own Prison, I can't get it in my head, so I don't know which one.
Heard I said, who? I created my own prison. Should have been dead on a Sunday morning.
Oh yeah, banging my head. That's Creed.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that one better.
Yeah.
Ain't got no time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Sorry, everybody. And yes, Brian Kelly, one half of Florida Georgia Line, apparently did play baseball at Florida State. Was scouted by the pros, according to his Wikipedia page. There's no reference on that.
Oh, yeah. So was I. It didn't work out for me either, so I got into journalism.
Right.
I mean, he has a better claim than I do because he actually was on the Florida State baseball team, but I don't know what that means to say you're scouted by the pros.
Yeah. When I lived in Jackson, so Prince got arrested in Jackson. There's an awesome mugshot of Prince just looking like Prince. And his mugshot, like in 1986.
Oh, so when he was a huge, super, enormous star. Okay, all right.
Yeah. And I was like, I should do that in my house. I should just put mugshots of people that lived in that got arrested in the town that I lived at in some point. But I couldn't find anybody from Montana and nobody in Dothan, Alabama that was cool ever got arrested. So.
Oh, there you go. You could have but still, Prince is a good one. Jim Morrison's a good one. Ted Bundy's a good one. Oh, no, Ted Bundy was arrested in somewhere else. He did bad things in Tallahassee, but he didn't get arrested in Tallahassee. Yeah, Sorry, I always got to bring it back to despair and tragedy. Yeah.
It was 1980, apparently, the Prince mugshot. He looks amazing.
That's what I'm saying. So he wasn't a huge superstar then.
I guess not.
Yeah, that was before Purple Rain, buddy.
All right.
We did it. We made it.
Good show. We made through all of it. We love all of you. StayConnectedWarChant.com. Again, listen, there's a baseball game tonight. We're going to get interviews with coaches afterwards. There's a scrimmage on Saturday, which we're not going to be able to watch, but we're going to get interviews afterwards as well. So just because this show's over doesn't mean your consumption of Florida State sports is over. Jeff Cameron's show, probably not happening today because we're going to be golfing, but hopefully you enjoyed the giving show yesterday. We appreciate everybody donating to Second Harvest. That's awesome. And everybody's going to be out at the golf tournament later today as well. Stay connected to warchant.com. It's the ultimate Seminole sports source. Portal's open. Go over there, get your information. He's Corey Maslon. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy.